This episode is brought to you by Bleacher Report. How do you follow sports? From college football to the NBA, Bleacher Report brings you the latest news, live scores, and epic highlights from your favorite leagues, teams, and athletes, all in one app. Dive into exclusive shows hosted by your favorite athletes and original Bleacher Report series with breaking news, rumors, and predictions all season long. Download Bleacher Report to personalize your coverage.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
For over 50 years, Burlington's legacy has been great deals on coats for all weather conditions. So before you're caught unprepared for the winter weather, head to Burlington for name brands, quality items, and surprising fits for every family member. Stock up on coats, sweaters, and accessories before the cold hits, so you can finally stop avoiding the elements and start living comfortably. Warm up at your nearest Burlington location less than 1 mile away. Burlington. Deals, brands, wow.
So attention cricket clubs and cricketing family, are you ready to step up to the crease and make a long-lasting impact on your club's legacy? Listen up, we've got something special for you. Introducing Fund It Now, the revolutionary fundraising platform that's changing the game for cricket clubs everywhere. With Fund It Now, clubs of all sizes can create a lasting legacy by selling personalised plaques to their passionate members, supporters and cricket club family.
That's right, Livo. Fund It Now has already left its mark on some of cricket's most iconic venues like Lords, the home of cricket, Somerset County Cricket Club, and with projects such as the Father Time Wall and Somerset Legends Wall.
There's the best part, Hugh. There are absolutely no upfront costs. Fundraising has never been more simple or accessible.
Imagine walking around your club's ground or up to the pavilion and seeing a bespoke wall of dedication, celebrating the history of your club and supporting its future with every plaque. It's like your club's very own shrine to the sport we all love.
And getting involved couldn't be easier. Simply visit Fund It Now's website at funditnow.co.uk to get started today, or drop them an email at info@funditnow.co.uk to learn more. It's time to rally your supporters and start raising money like never before. And don't forget to tell them you heard it from us at the Premier League Cricket Show.
So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of clubs and grounds like Somerset County Cricket Club and Lords and make your mark on cricket history.
Visit Fund It Now today and start building your fundraising platform. That's funditnow.co.uk. Fund It Now, where passion meets purpose at your cricket club, and begin creating your own legacy. So welcome everybody to another Premier League Cricket Show, and today we're joined by a guest who, it's fair to say, he's had a career. He's had a career from a long time ago playing under-19s England cricket, where he scored 188 as a top score. Pretty decent AQ.
Useful.
He went on to play first-class cricket. He went on to play List A cricket, some Vitality Blast. One or two people will remember him for a certain thing that he did in 2005. And I can testify he's still a bloody good fielder, because I saw him a few months ago. He's still a bloody good fielder. But more important to myself and Hugh, he's got 30,000 runs on play cricket. 17,000 plus for the club he's with right now, and even better, 7,000 plus in what used to be called minor counties but is now national counties. He's what we class as a proper legend of club and minor counties cricket. And joining us today is Mr. Gary Pratt. How are we doing, mate?
How you doing, guys? All right?
Yeah, good. Hugh, have we seen numbers that big? We look at a lot of numbers, don't we?
I think it's not the easiest thing to pin down, but we think you're the highest run scorer in Premier League cricket in play cricket history. So there will be some arguments coming up from the pre-play cricket era, which obviously doesn't exist. Nope. But yeah, so the highest Premier League run scorer in Premier League history. So that's the you're up there on the pedestal, Gary. Everything else that you've done is irrelevant.
Correct.
That is the most important thing.
Absolutely. But it's, go back to the beginning, Gary. It's a cricketing family, isn't it, your lot?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all I've ever known when I've been from like 2 years old, really. Going down to the local club with my dad, and just tripping a bat all the way around the ground and not giving it out with my hands. So yeah, it's I guess if you just grow up with it, then you don't know anything different.
How far back in the family does that cricketing go? Was it just your dad, or was it your granddad? And
Yeah, it was dad and then granddad. I mean, my dad used to play for a little village team called North Bitchburn in County Durham, where it was quite like it was a pretty good setup. The stories he's told me, where if they go out and toss up and they lose the toss and end up balling first, then the women who live in the houses out the back would take the white sheets down, and because they would use the white sheets as
a side
put the
screen.
washing out and put a white sheet for a side screen, and then when they were batting, they'd put the white sheet up, and when they were bowling, they'd take the white sheets down. So it's quite a good thing.
Yeah, we're done. That's it. That's the best story we've heard in a year's with the podcasting. So
there's a few people getting some ideas there on that. There's a few people. Oh yeah.
Well, my club backs onto a load of bungalows, and I've already got this vision now of all the white sheets coming out when we're batting, and otherwise, sod it. The opposition are here. We're not going to give them any help, are we?
There's some gigantic washing lines being installed in Burton-on-Trent as we speak.
Yeah, it's a great idea, but I guess it's just that's just the mentality of people just wanting to get an advantage, and not illegally either. So
absolutely. I think the joy of that, though, Gary, is you go back to stories like that, and the sort of villages and the clubs around that northeast of England. There's so many of those clubs that do back onto houses, literally, aren't there?
Oh yeah, massively.
And it's the norm to play around those grounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old great little tight grounds with like you said, bungalows and houses around them, and it's just, I guess it was it's more of a community then than what it is right now, I would say.
Mm-hmm, definitely. But hey, you progressed pretty well with your career. For a youngster, obviously playing county age cricket, etc., going through that quite quickly, and to see the sort of runs that you scored for England in the 19s, that was your first time to put the 3 lines on your chest as such. That 188 is your highest score, I think, from what I can see, is your highest score ever. 188, if I'm reading Cricket Archive right.
I did score 210 or 208 against Yorkshire seconds at the Riverside for Durham seconds, but other than that, then 188 is
But at England under 19 level, you must have been playing with some good players around that time.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great group of lads. I actually played, the first time I played was when I was 17, and that was against Australia, who had a very good side with Mitchell Johnson in and Michael Clark, which was a bit of a moment where I thought, well, dear me, you kind of pinch yourself a bit, really, because obviously it was a little bit unheard of playing like 2 years younger than what you should be. But I guess the way it was happening is a bit similar now, where they just kind of pluck somebody out like Bethel, for instance, and just say, right, get in there and see what you can do, really. So in that respect, it's great for young lads getting a chance where they don't have to go and prove themselves for like years and years on the county circuit. I think it's great the fact that they can just chuck them in and say, look, we believe in you.
Yeah.
Go out and do your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, your background, northeast cricket is not private school dominated. It's a comprehensive background you've come through. It's relatively unusual for such a strong batter to emerge out of the comprehensive system, less so in the northeast. What did your sort of 14, 15, 16-year-old self look like? How often were you training? Were you just constantly in the nets? Either side of school, or was it fairly relaxed?
It was relaxed, but I had a head teacher who loved Durham and who loved cricket. So anytime I wanted to get off and go and practice or whatever, he was just like, look, you do what you need to do. Which again, this day and age, just I don't think would happen. But from a school cricket team point of view, we had quite a decent side. It was quite funny because we always did pretty well in the national stuff, and we ended up getting quite far in the national stuff, and we'd be travelling down to these schools like Repton School, for example, and they wouldn't kind of know what was going on when we turned up.
Just trash the place.
We know that feeling very well because it's 6 minutes down the road from me, and I drive through Repton 2-3 times a week. I've been living here 27 years. I can honestly say I still don't know what goes on there. It's a different world when you drive into that sort of patch, isn't it?
But for lads who kind of grown up in little pit villages, basically, and they know how to handle themselves when it comes to people in life, to then go to these schools where we were like kind of looked down upon, really.
Was there a bit of chirp?
Well, I was too pushed to understand for our lads. Like, I think we were more like rough and ready, really, and you wouldn't really take it as too aggressive when it's sounding that posh.
But you were doing well in those competitions, and obviously you were getting recognised to play county age cricket, etc. I moved through that. And what age were you when you played your first class game? I haven't picked that one up.
I think I was 18, and that was against Lancashire at Old Trafford, and again, kind of playing against Michael Atherton and Fairbrother, and these quite high-profile players when you're that age. And I just remember watching Atherton bat, and I was never a great fan of Michael Atherton until I actually played against him, and he just accumulated runs, and you'd looked at the scoreboard and you thought, he's not doing anything, and then all of a sudden he's on like 40 from nowhere.
Yeah.
And you just think, wow, you have to appreciate how good he actually was.
Yeah, it was a great Durham side going through there. You know, you had a real good group. You got obviously Phil Mustard's knocking about there. Dale Benkenstein was there as a pro, wasn't he? I mean, it's a really good group. It was an emerging Durham side, you know, and moving on towards, you know, titles and things.
There was, and I think during my period of time, it was a little bit. The younger lads got a bit of a rough end of the stick, really. I mean, we didn't really have a settled overseas player, so we had a lot of young local lads playing, but weren't really developing as much because you didn't have a strong overseas player in there. So I had the likes of me, Gordon Mitchell, Nicky Peng, Michael Goff opening the batting with me, and there's like 4 batters in the top 6 who were all under 22 years old.
Wow!
Right.
So for a first class batting order, when you compare it to the likes of that Lancashire side where it was like Atherton, Fairbrother, you weren't generally learning from anybody. You just kind of chucked out there on your own 2 feet, really, and said, right, get on with it.
But was that a benefit though, Gary? Was that a benefit that you were just, there was nothing around you, some sort of no noise, shall we say, and you just got on with it and did really well?
Well, it was pretty tough because we got beat quite a lot of times, and couldn't really pin down what we were doing wrong. And obviously we just didn't have that stability of someone who knew how to get runs within that side. So it wasn't until, I would say, Michael Hussey came along where he kind of, that mentality was there, and the real grit and determination to bat time and accumulate runs came about, really. And
then you had that Atherton equivalent in Hussey, who would literally, he'd be that glue. You know, I look at Peter Hanscom doing it at Leicester these days now. Exactly that sort of sticks around. Yeah,
I guess I feel like that for Richmond at the moment. It's like obviously a lesser scale, but that's how I kind of want to put out to our young lads and help them along, and hopefully they can learn by watching me do my stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've been doing your stuff now for Richmond for a number of years. We won't put dates on everything, but
2012, I've got you. It's 2012.
12 years with them, 17,000 runs. The last time you got less than 1,000 runs, most people who are playing at your club weren't born. COVID doesn't count. We know. We got before play cricket, before COVID. But it's that long ago. You've just been literally doing that week in, week out, and accumulated runs. You know, at a ridiculously good average still.
Yeah, I enjoy it. And I've always said that the day I don't get angry or disappointed when I get out is the day that I need to pack up and retire. But I'm still pretty aggressive and angry when I get out, so I guess that's a good thing.
I'm gonna throw something at you now then. So I was at the White Rose final, as you know, and that battle between you and Alex Lilly, that was a corking battle when he was running in for Newfoundland. He hadn't bowled much that season, had he? And he'd come back in the last few games bowling, and he was on a 5 for if he'd got one more wicket. And that battle that went on for half a dozen overs, in particular between you and him, that was proper top quality professional cricket almost, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of as close to first class cricket as you're going to get, really, with 2 guys going at it like that. But it's good. I mean, you'd much rather that in a game than somebody bowling underarms at you and easy runs coming along. Do you know what I mean? But But no, there's some really good club cricketers out there who don't necessarily get a fair crack of the whip, really.
Yeah.
And with all the restrictions on minor counties, what is it, national counties now, isn't it? All the restrictions on national counties with the rules they've brought in, it's pretty hard for lads in Yorkshire, especially, to get a go, because obviously you're an outsider in a minor counties, so you have to be a very good player. But then minor counties aren't going to use a wild card on somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, really. So it's a tough one. I don't particularly agree with it. I do to an extent, but I think there's a lot of good cricketers who are just going by the wayside, really.
Yeah, it's a tricky one with the national counties, because you've got obviously the first class sides, but they're not necessarily picking too many players from the first class counties, are they?
No.
You know, they might have a ton of overseas players, or a limit on overseas, but you know, they brought in people from all over the country, you know, because they're wealthy ones, and then everybody else they either have to play, like you say, as a sort of, you know, the national counties overseas player as such, or they just have to stay in Premier League cricket. They can't sort of excel themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few players now who've come up through minor counties at various counties who actually play in first class cricket now. You've got like Ben Sanderson, who's at North Ands, Jack White, who's just moved to Yorkshire. He played at Cumbria with me for a couple of games. Richard Gleeson, who
Cumbria again.
If it was the rules now, you might not give him a chance.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of situation you're in where Gleeson was kind of came under my captaincy at Cumbria, and I just used to bowl him, and that's all he wanted to do. And he was quite old then. I think he was probably about 26 maybe then.
Yeah. So he was over the under 25 rule, which was in place. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit, I don't know.
It's a 6 and 2 threes that Hugh and I have this conversation regularly, where, you know, as Hugh said, the first class counties basically can do what they want and choose what they want. And, you know, the Lancashire lads will pick players from down in Somerset, from Dorset, wherever. But then you're right, at national counties level, they've tried to hone it a little bit more. But they've given that push towards the youth in particular with the under 25s, because, you know, back in the day, I hate using the phrase, but back in the day, minor counties was regarded as the older players, wasn't it? But now a lot of the younger players. But it is a real chicken and egg. And we've had players ask us, you know, how do we get a shout with XYZ national county? And we've said, well, you live, work, went to school in Essex.
Yeah.
It ain't happening, because that's the way the rules are set up. So it is difficult. But you had a really successful time with Cumbria in your minor county time, didn't you?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. It was great to be a part of. Enjoyed it as much as anything that I've done, really. The cricket was just so aggressive, and I just felt like it was something I could really captain and really put my stamp on a team, and I think we did that, and we achieved pretty much everything we could achieve within that period of time. And then obviously the new rules came in, and a lot of the Cumbria lads got more of a chance, which is fine. And there's some good players there now, but the standard of cricket in Cumbria isn't fantastic. So therefore, you kind of get a little bit left behind as such.
When you were playing your Cumbria cricket, how many days of the summer were you playing cricket on average?
With the Cumbrian weather?
Well, how many days were you actually at a cricket ground out of, 7 days a week? You must have been. I mean, this was what amazes me.
I think I think there was 1 year where we literally had decent run in the national and stuff like that. And I think I had one Sunday off all season, which was pretty hectic when you're playing 3-day games. So you're playing a 3-day game for Cumbria wasn't a 3-day game, because I would have a Thursday night cup tie at Richmond, maybe a Friday night cup tie at Richmond, then Saturday at Richmond, and then travel Saturday night down to Buckinghamshire, play Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, travel back Tuesday night, back to work Wednesday, cup tie on the Thursday, and then you're just doing it again. And it was like literally constant. So it was almost
a flexible job in this time.
Yeah. Well, you have to, don't you?
Yeah, it has to. And I know when I spoke
either that or you're unemployed, don't you?
When I spoke to James Kettleborough, the Staffordshire captain, towards the end of the season, they were getting ready for the final against Berkshire, and he said exactly the same. At that point, he'd had 2 Sundays off since April, because Staffordshire had got to the finals and got to finals day in T20. And it is a relentless road for you guys to go from Premier League cricket on a Saturday. Some of the drives some of the lads have on a Saturday night is just madness, isn't it, to say the least?
Yeah, it's not safe, really. If you think about it, I mean,
and not being paid for it compared to the first class argument right now is, it's dangerous for them to drive from, I don't know, one ground to another for the next day, but at least they're being paid for that.
Yeah.
Whereas, at minor counties level, you're not.
I mean, you have I remember the year we won it. I think it was 2015 or something like that. We had a semi-final or quarter-final down in Dorset, and we were meeting. So we had a coach. There was a coach meeting us at Oxford. So all the lads had to drive to Oxford, and then jump on the coach and go to Dorset. Got down there 2 a.m. or something like that. Up 11 o'clock start. Won that, and then the semi-final was away at Cornwall, and we had to come. So we came back, same again, and we got there at like 4:30 a.m. down to Cornwall. 11 o'clock start, up and won that game. And it's just such a disadvantage to a site where you have to go down 2 hours sleep and then get up and perform, and it's just travelling really takes it out of you, really.
Red Bull's expensive as well, isn't it? I mean, a fair bit of that was going on, I bet, back in
It's expensive when you play cards.
Yeah,
definitely. I think the joys of that travel though is being in that car with your mates, knowing you go to play cricket, getting on that coach. They're the things that keep you guys going when you're doing it. And we talk to lots of NCCA players. That's the one thing they all talk about. They love. It might be a pain in the backside on a Saturday night drive from Berkshire up to Cumbria or down to Cornwall or Devon. Berkshire was sent down to Devon last year, to the furthest point in Devon that you could possibly get to. But you've got that joy of that journey, and it's just cricket talk, and I hate to say it, but just talking crap all the way, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is an advantage to it, and the camaraderie you get on a coach is brilliant. But I guess the easiest thing to do is kind of take your time, get down there, and hopefully it all comes out in the wash, really.
Absolutely.
Hey, it's Austin James. Yes, I'm living with diabetes, but it doesn't have to define me. Thanks to the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor, I get real-time glucose readings throughout the day. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor is small and easy to wear, giving me the freedom to focus on my life as a parent and a musician. Now this is progress. You can get a free sensor at freestylelibre.us.
Offer available for people who qualify. Visit myfreestyle.us to see all terms and conditions. Certain exclusions apply. Data on file, Abbott Diabetes Care. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the new generative AI assistant from AWS. Many tasks can make business slow, like wading through mud. Help! Luckily, there's a faster, easier, less messy choice. Amazon Q can securely understand your business data to help you streamline tasks, like summarizing quarterly results or doing complex analyses in no time. Q got this. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
Going back to your changing career then, Gary, I mean, I'm presuming that you were let go by Durham. That it wasn't your own decision, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was. Well, I was told by Durham I was too old when I was 23. They were going to give the young lads a go, which I found pretty disappointing, really.
Just a wee bit.
Because it was only when kind of Mike Hussey came in the year after that I really thought I could have developed by playing with him, really.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that chance, which not that I regret, but I just don't think it was too fair. A little bit short-sighted by the club itself, really, where they put as much time in with me from a young age, from like 13, 14 years old, to all of a sudden I had a bad year, probably a bad year and a half, where I wasn't getting the amount of runs I should have been. To just then bin me off, was a little bit, I don't know, didn't really hurt. It was just more disappointing, to be honest with you, how fickle the world of sport actually is, which is a little bit disappointing.
Your record, I think you finished with a first class record of averaging 26 odd, list day record 31 and decent T20 numbers, and then your fielding, which obviously you're famous for. I mean, people are getting picked for England with those numbers at the moment. It's a bit of a contrast, and the fielding side, is valued so highly now. And I mean, you were plucked obviously into that England team because of your fielding prowess above the rest in the country. Do you feel like fielding wasn't valued by first class cricket, list A cricket, the same as it is now?
I don't know if it wasn't value, because it was an asset to have that other option on the field. I mean, there was a time where obviously me and Paul Collingwood were at Durham, and I wanted to be better than what he was, and I guess that's you need that within a club where you always want to be the best and want to strive to be better than somebody else. And I guess professional sport is all about that, and you wanting to get that opportunity, and you wanting to be better than somebody else so you can get their spot. So I don't think it was undervalued. No, I think it was.
I'll describe it a different way. It was valued, but not like it is now. Not the way you've already mentioned it. The way Jacob Bethel plumped, and they've made a big thing of the fact that they've plumped it out, but they've said his fielding is one of the reasons we plumped out as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's the different levels, isn't it?
Yeah, I think looking back in my situation, I think I was 21 or something when I scored 1,000 runs in a championship season, to then 2 years later just be sacked and just kind of like you haven't kind of. It's obviously in there, so just a little bit more work, and do you know what I mean, to like get it out more consistently. It's like you say, averaging 26 isn't great. I'd hold my hands up to that, but who says the next 10 years are probably the best 10 years of your career? I know I couldn't say put my club cricket numbers to a first class, because it's totally different, but that potentially could have happened at Durham, and I still could have been playing now, and I'm like 43. That's why I think it's such a disappointing thing from Durham's point of view, because they've missed out on a young local lad who is more than capable of scoring runs consistently, and the longevity was there also, so they've also missed out on that.
Yeah, I know you can't necessarily compare club cricket to professional cricket, but your record at club cricket being the best in the country and also being unbelievably consistent, to do what you've done, to be averaging 50 year after year after year after year in a competitive leagues, it speaks for itself. These people come over from overseas, they don't put these numbers up. It's again, not they might put these up, but it's very rare people are consistently able to hit the levels that you've hit in club cricket. So it does look like the professional game has missed out on something. I mean, your 2017 season, what were you, mid-30s at that point? You're averaging 61, 2,000 runs in 61 in 2017 at 61. So these are fantastic numbers, and you're also a dominant player on the team. You're scoring 25% of your team's runs as well. Other players are struggling a little bit, and you're just dominating. And we haven't even mentioned your bowling, which we'll get to. Yeah,
and I think what I'd also add to that as well, Hugh, is this is in a tough bloody league. This isn't in one of the, if we split the 32 Premier Leagues around the country into sort of batches, that league that Richmondshire play in, that is a tough old league. It's in that top, quarter of the leagues to play in. And you're testing yourself week in, week out in that league, aren't you, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, you come across some good players, and more so now with the amount of money that's kicking about in club cricket, which is quite unbelievable. I don't know if it's the same down south, but up north it's pretty hideous, to be honest with you. It's kind of almost turned into Northern League football, semi-professional football, where most players are getting paid, and Richmond are one of the few that actually don't. Where people don't believe it, but Richmond literally pay like 3 players, and they are classed as the professionals type of thing, and the rest of the lads, decent jobs. They play cricket. They'd love to win, and they play on a weekend because that's their time of like enjoyment. And I say to them, look, once you start involving money in your enjoyment of playing cricket on a Saturday, I said that enjoyment will soon leave you, because all of a sudden you start getting questioned about why are we paying this guy this and why are we paying that? And you have to be performing. And I guess I'm fortunate the fact that I can perform, and I've never known any different not to get paid for playing cricket. So it's not really the same for me as such, but a lot of younger lads, it shouldn't be about getting money to play cricket, because at the end of the day, if you're picking up £1,000, it's not going to change your life. You know what I mean? And just go and enjoy yourself. Play with your mates. Everyone at Richmond, they're all mates, and they all get on great. And they'll always go out for a beer throughout the year with each other. And you just you lose that once you start paying too many players. But I guess clubs are struggling to recruit players, and the only way to recruit players now is to be paying them. So it's a double-edged sword, really. It's just so bad. But I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country.
It's chicken and egg. I think you hit the nail on the head. Recruitment's very important for a lot of clubs because they want to keep themselves up there all the time.
Yeah.
So we know stories of clubs who've only got one or two first and second 11 and very minimal juniors, but they're buying players in all the time to keep them up there.
Yeah.
Versus clubs like Northern in Liverpool, who've got 5 senior teams on a Saturday and 18 million kids playing behind it. They're trying to bring them through.
Yeah.
And it's a real balancing act, I think, across the whole country for this. But yeah, I'd say Richmondshire is what I class as one of the more traditional type clubs who are paying 2 or 3 players because they're going to have to.
Yeah.
But they've got lads coming through the system, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got 5 adult sides every week. Getting 5 sides out, it's hard, but you've got those juniors that are coming up through the ranks, and you almost need those 5 sides to keep developing your juniors, because like our third team at Richmond has the oldest player is 25 and he's the captain, and the rest of them are like 16-year-old, which is exactly and perfect what it's for. And those lads should be pushing to get into our side in the next couple of years, and I'm sure they will be. I mean, there's a young lad, Joe White, who's at Yorkshire at the minute, who's 16 years old, and he's opened the baton all year. It's almost like one of those where you have to say, right, he's got potential. It's back to this scenario where you just pluck somebody out and say, right, you go and open the baton, we'll back you. It doesn't matter what you do, just go out and play, and kind of just sacrifice that spot to develop somebody. I think that's the biggest thing we've got to do, and I'm sure we'll keep on doing it at Richmond for years to come.
Yeah, not your spot, obviously.
No,
not yet. Well, I'm pretty flexible. I just do whatever Bob wants me to do now, really.
Producing young Premier League players is difficult. I think that's the key to it. But, people maybe potentially playing a little less long, unlike yourself, at Premier League level, and getting that flow of Premier League players. So you kind of seem to be getting these splits down the leagues. You get half the teams established going the sort of Richmondshire model, and then another group sort of striving to come up to that or competing at that level, but with a paid model. And I find it difficult to criticise either model because everybody's got different demographics in their areas and so forth. But yeah, it's we'd all love to be pay a few and have a great junior coming through, but it doesn't necessarily always work, and it's not always possible for some teams. There's a team I want to touch on though, is Saltburn, and they were a bit of a legend for me last season, playing against them. They were the lowest scoring champions last season. What's it like playing Saltburn at their ground?
It's tough.
There's the answer.
Yeah, it's tough when the sun's not shining as well, because it's absolutely freezing on the coast.
I can imagine, yeah.
Do you know what? It's the year they won the league, that was almost like the Leicester situation, where everything kind of went for them, and they were winning games at home that they were getting 120 and winning on a Saturday.
Yeah, I think their average score through the season was 161.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which, that was by far the lowest of any Premier League winning side.
Yeah.
And Jack Armand running in, I think he averaged about 8.
Yeah. He never plays at Richmond, funny enough.
Plays all his home games then?
Yeah, yeah.
Would Saltburn be one of those places that is up there in the toughest to go to in your league?
It is, just because you kind of know what you're getting, and you know how tough it's going to be to play there. Really, I mean, I think the game this year I think we won it. I think their pro got 8 for 50 or something like that, and our pro then got 8 for less, and we ended up winning that game as well. So it's always quite a low scoring affair, but it's always pretty tight whoever plays, to be fair. And
I think what's of interest to me in particular in your patch of the world, though, Gary, is that you've got these 4 Premier Leagues now up in Yorkshire. And there is some strange, in my opinion, geographical crossovers where, Town Villa in the Bradford League versus Castleford, one. It's a little bit strange. But you've been around long enough now to be able to ask the question, do you see that as a real positive, the way the Premier Leagues are developing around Yorkshire?
Yeah, I think they've got a good system going now. It's very competitive.
Very.
Pretty tough. I think they should maybe, I don't know, they could maybe chuck a Yorkshire Cup competition there just to kind of mix it right up like a
FA Cup
yeah,
style.
yeah,
So Lancashire Cup do that, don't they? They have it where they come from the Northern League, the Lancashire League, the Liverpool Comp, and it all goes to an FA Cup style.
So I think that's quite good because look, all leagues have cup competitions, and sometimes they just get a little bit stale where you're playing the same people over and over, and a lot of those teams don't get they don't play in the national, so they don't get a chance to go and play at different grounds and different clubs and play against different players, which kind of stifles your learning, really. If you're not playing against different players and better players who you don't know, you have to work out. I mean, we'll play on a Saturday and I'll know for a fact, right, he can't hit the ball there, so let's not have a fielder there. Let's have it. He hits everything through third man, so we'll just put third man in. When you know that before you even turn up to the game, I think it's just a little bit. It's good planning, but it's a little bit still, really. So I think to develop players and people, then something like that situation would be ideal.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's the same in every Premier League around the country. And if there's 10, 12 teams, depending where you are in the country, you're going to play 18 or 22 games a season. You're probably going to know 80% of the players you're going to play against each Saturday. And you can make plans, and especially with video these days, we can start to see it far more often. But those Sunday games then, especially in the Nationals, that's where you see the spice coming up, because you don't always know what you're going to get, do you? You might be able to watch a bit of video, but you can't see the whole works.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some great days with playing in the National at Richmond. I mean, we've had days where there's been kind of 2,000 people at Richmond. And it's such a good day for the club, but it's good for the lads to really broaden the horizon on who they're playing against and how they have to think a little bit more when they're playing. And probably take away some of that fear factor, really, of because on a Saturday you might have someone who gets you out every single time you play against them. And to get that out of your head is pretty difficult. So to play against bowlers where you don't know, I think is pretty good, because you could turn up and play against the best bowler that club's ever had, but you've never seen him before in your life, and you could absolutely smoke them all over the place. So
you've given us the Radio 5 link. We've got to do it. Go on, Hugh. He's mentioned bowlers.
Well, it was a perfect time. I was thinking, we're talking bowling then. We've got 312 wickets at 17 over the course of your career. Some years we're getting 50 wickets under 20. We've got 2019, 44 wickets at 12. And then a couple of years later, not bowling. What's going on?
Yeah, I think I was captain those years I was bowling.
So Bob doesn't trust you to bowl anymore then?
No, I'm just kind of last chance saloon, really. If we need a wicket, he'll maybe chuck the ball to us. But when you've got Shaq, when you've got Shaq getting 100 wickets, it's pretty tough to chuck the ball to me, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a record that anyone would be proud of. To be. I mean, it's just the up and down nature of it. It's just you look at your play cricket history, and it's 51 wickets in 2010. Next year, 5.
Yeah,
and you bowled a tenth of the overs. I mean,
I know. It's just, I don't know what's going on there, really. I need to be bowling more, don't I?
You do,
just
absolutely.
Hey, talking of bowlers, though, you've mentioned his name. How good is this Shafi Kafari that you guys have got? I reckon he's up there in the top 3 or 4 pros that I've seen last year around the country.
Yeah, he is. He's of the time, I think, isn't he? Where this whole the left arm spin situation's kind of gone now. That era's kind of past, and now we're into the leg spin and the wrist spin again. And yeah, he's actually still here. He's in the UK. He's so
still playing.
Well, he's a little bit cold.
It just hasn't stopped bowling. He's still running in.
Yeah. Well, he was netting last week, so he is still playing. But yeah, so Shaf's kind of claiming asylum, so from Afghanistan, and when he qualifies, then I'm sure he'll get snapped up by, well, it should be by Durham, really, but I'm sure he'll be getting snapped up because he's a real talent, batting and bowling, to be honest with you. Yeah. He's a maverick player, I would say. He's just good to have on your side.
And he's also, from meeting him once up at Castleford, he's a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
He'll keep himself to himself, but I tell you what, when he gets out, he ain't happy, is he?
Yeah, he's such a quiet, nice lad. Great nature. I've never really seen him like lose his head or be aggressive.
Well, he almost lost it at Castleford that day.
Well, no, he did that day, but that was kind of off the field, wasn't it? It wasn't on the field.
Yeah.
So yeah, his back took a bit of a pounding that day. But I guess it just how many overseas pros have you seen that react like that, who actually care that much?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of speaks volume about him and about the lads and about the club, to be honest.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, when he was bowling at Cass that day, he wasn't taking wickets the way he has done all the way through the season. Because he was saying to the skipper, "I want to keep going.
Yeah.
I want to." It's only going to take one ball to turn it. And unfortunately for you guys that day, you won in the end. But because of what happened in the first few overs of your innings, it did put you guys under pressure when Shaf got out, for example.
Yeah.
But you must have been, looking back to that day, I know you guys were the first one from your league to win the White Rose Trophy, tick.
Yeah.
But for you personally, that must have been one of your most, how can I describe it? You must have enjoyed that innings more than most last season.
Yeah, I mean, I love big games, and I love having the responsibility of having to win a game for your team. And I don't think enough players feel like that. I think it's a lot of players are quite selfish, even though I'm quite selfish, but I want to be selfish in the right way, which is like win the game for the team. And it just gets you like that. Those big games just make you focus and make you concentrate. And I had a conversation with Bob last week about how awful it was that we won the league with 4 games to spare, because those last 4 games were really tough in the league for me personally, because I just could not get motivated. There was not, like, when there's nothing riding on that game, I would much rather have to win those games to win the league. And when there was nothing riding on them, it was a little bit, dear me, what do you do now?
Yeah.
And I couldn't, and I kind of almost feel sorry for these clubs that are mid-table. It's like, you just think, I'd rather be at the bottom or at the top. I don't want to be...
Have something to fight for.
Yeah. So I said we don't really want to do that again. So hopefully we'll make it a bit tighter this year.
Just get yourself dropped. I'm just looking at you're running there. Norg away at Saltburn, so we've mentioned them. 23, Nort 23, and then you got a 62 in the league for your last game, and then the 2 big cup matches, 29 not out, 59 not out to win the match. So it shows you, the stats reflect your sort of mindset in those games.
Yeah, the mentality is just such a big thing, and I was quite relieved when we actually got the league done and dusted, because I've been saying for so many years to Randy Orchard, I've been saying, I wish we could just win this league with like a few games to spare, because it's just always goes down to like the last game every single year. And having done that now, I'd rather it went down to the last game every single year, because it's a much better feeling.
To have to go out on that last day of the season and have to do something. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Is that, do you think, Gary, the difference between, let's be honest, Premier League cricketers to where you get to first class? Do you think it is all just that mentality?
Yeah, I mean, don't
get
me wrong. There is a lot of technical stuff involved in there. Mind you, probably not this now with the shots they play in test matches now. I mean, it's just ludicrous, really, what's going on. But it is a mentality thing. And I guess if you have the backing of, it doesn't matter if we win or lose, go out and just express yourself and try and play what you want to do. That is so good from a player's point of view. We didn't have that in my era at Durham. We didn't have that. It was pretty much like, don't do this, don't do that, as opposed to go out and do whatever you want and play however you want. It was almost robotic how people had to bat and accumulate runs and bat time, and the more balls you face, the more runs you're going to get, which obviously isn't the case now.
Yeah.
So the mentality has changed, and the coach's mentality has changed. I think they've taken a bit more of a back seat, really, when it comes to that. And it's more man management and how you're feeling within yourself of how you want to approach it.
Yeah, I mean, chatting to a few cricketers over the last few weeks, it amazes me that people are critical of this England setup compared to where we've come from. People have forgotten so quickly where we came from, and they've just flipped the whole thinking round, haven't they? From this, like you say, this negative, don't get out mindset to the positive, go and express yourself, go and do something special. And it's reflected across the game of cricket. I think people have taken that across all leagues, all clubs, and gone, oh, this, we don't have to block the first 15 balls.
Yeah.
We can, if we feel we can hit a good shot, Zach Crawley hitting his first ball for six, was it his third ball for six? First time a six has been hit by an England opener in history, I think it was.
Which is right, because the mentality from opening batters is, right, your job is to see the new ball off.
Yeah.
That is your job. But really, if there's a ball there to hit, just hit it. Like, that's the best way to be.
Yeah.
I had a conversation the other night where we were saying, how do we kind of try and progress Richmond to go to the next level of how we want to approach our cricket mentality now? And don't get us wrong, it's a good mentality we have at the moment, but we still want to get better at it. Whether that's being more aggressive, and if you score 300 in 35 overs, then you score 300. Like, it doesn't matter, does it?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
no.
if your end goal gets to where you want to be earlier, then it's still your end goal at the end of the day. Doesn't matter how long it takes.
Will it work at Saltburn? That's the thing. Will it work at Saltburn?
Well, I don't know. We need to maybe try that approach.
As Hugh said, try it at Saltburn.
Definitely. I mean, it's not the way I kind of try. Well, it is, but it's not really my mentality. I'm quite a little bit old school still, but once you know the way how you play, then I think I'm a little bit too far gone to go out and hit the first ball for six.
But you remind me, though, Gary, of a player who's local to us, similar sort of career, Paul Borrington, who played for a number of years for Derbyshire and now plays Premier League cricket. A bit like you talked about Atherton, you'll watch Paul and you'll go, he's not moving that quick, is he? And all of a sudden, he's on 30 after 20 overs or 30 after 30 overs. Then you get to the end, and all of a sudden, you're on 70, 80, 90 not out. Yeah. You go, hang on a minute, how's that happen? And it's that accumulation and sort of taking things upwards, isn't it, towards the end, which is what you call it the old school way, but it still bloody well works.
There's Root. I mean, look no further than Joe Root. I mean, he's not. He did change how he was playing, but now he's kind of reverted and gone back to what he knows best. And when you've got those other explosive players around you, I think it's a good mix. But those explosive players are coming from the younger generation. So I think you need that older generation just to kind of hold things together a little bit for when it does go wrong, which it will do, because that's how they play, isn't it? That's just like, if it comes off, it comes off, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and it'll be tomorrow. But
coaches and selectors need to be brave, don't they? They need to be brave. I mean, just looking at my lads' teams, there's a young lad who's very unorthodox, who's, he'll, in the nets, he'll get cleaned up. And if you put him side by side with a sort of polished cricketer, as they're coming up through the age groups, you put him side by side and had a look in the nets, you'd go for the polished cricketer every time you look at it. But actually his outcome on game day is way above a lot of people, because he's doing all sorts of different things. And he's putting bowlers off their lengths, he's causing chaos. And you've got to be brave to pick that lad, whether it's in the winter or in a selection game, if they fail or if they fail a few times, versus going for the safe, polished cricketer that's going to do you a job. And that's reflected across, through the county age groups all the way through first team, second team, and so forth. So hopefully the modern coaches can be braver now than maybe they were.
Well, I guess that's where, I know I don't like going back to 2005, but like when Kevin Peterson came on the scene, nobody had seen anything like it, and it was like the arrogance of the shots he was playing. But he wasn't in the English system. We played against Kevin at, when he was at Nottingham, and you just thought, who on earth is this guy? So arrogant, so confident, just bullshit. And you think he's just grown up in South Africa. Not really that much coaching, I wouldn't say, the way he bats, because I don't think you can coach it. But in England, I do think he would have been coached out of it in that time. So I guess it is easier for coaches now in a way, because you just say, right, go and hit the ball, and it doesn't matter what you look like. I wouldn't necessarily say Jacob Bethel had a great looking technique as such, but hand-eye, which is what it's all about now. Harry Brook, hand-eye, it's just just wallop it.
Well, if you watch Travis Head's innings against India the other day, I mean, goodness me, it's just wrists and hitting the ball outside the line and all the rest of it.
And these players, when they do look quite ordinary when they're not hitting the ball out the ground, but when they do hit it, it stays hit.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
I think what's fascinating there is you look back to 2005 and, we regarded 2005 going into the Ashes as the sort of the Ponting versus, would it be Strauss and,
traditionalists.
Going to be the accumulators run. Yeah. Whereas next year already the papers are saying it's going to be Head versus Brook. And I mean, you couldn't get any more two different types of way of playing. The Barmy Army sold over 1,000 packages to the Ashes on day one yesterday. That's because of what they're doing out there. It's because of the exciting cricket that's being played. There's no two ways about it. And Harry Brook jumped from what was it, Huddersfield or the Airedale Wharfling or something. It just jumped right into doing what he did there. Yeah, straight into Yorkshire.
He played for Cumbria as well, by the way. He went to Sedbergh School.
Oh well, there we go. What's he doing? What's he doing? Wasting his time.
I'm going to be getting in touch with Freddie Fallows now and saying you missed one. Hey, your career's now very long career, Premier League cricket, NCCA. I'm going to ask you a very open-ended question. How long do you see yourself carrying on doing what you're doing right now? Because I see you still going on for years because you're fit as a fiddle.
Body feels good. Mentally, as good as I've ever been. Happy at home. It's a good life. No stress in it whatsoever. Yeah. So, look, I enjoy it. So I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I possibly can. And the longer I can bring some youngsters through and help them, then the better. So I can't really put a time on it, to be honest with you.
And for those who are listening to this pod, we're recording this on, I don't mind being open with people, we recorded this on the 12th of December, and either today or tomorrow, we should get the club championship draw for 2025. That's got to be a target for you guys, hasn't it, to go big?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what we want to do. But with that comes a sacrifice of something else along the line. I mean, we're quite honest as a club and accept that if you have a good run in the national, something's going to take a hit down the line, whether it's your cups or the league, which is what happened the year we won the national. We didn't win the league. Not many clubs do, I don't think, because it's so tough to be Saturday, Sunday, every single week of the season to win that national cup, to have focus on your league as well. It is difficult. So, but if somebody said we'd win the national next year, of course we'd take it. I mean, who wouldn't? Yeah,
and I think you nailed it there the Saturday, Sunday. I was doing some stats the other day and I looked at our friends at Northern Cricket Club who came runners-up in the Liverpool and District competition last year. They won't like me saying that, but they came runners-up. They came runners-up in the club championship and they won in a bowl-off in the T20. But the interesting fact is that they had to play 16 cup games to get to those two finals. Now, you add that onto your league games as well. That's a lot of bloody cricket, isn't it, to say the least?
You've got to think it's a lot of cricket for lads who have jobs every week, getting up and going to work, who have families, young families, and you've got to have understanding partners. If you don't, then you're struggling. And that is where a good side comes from, to be honest with you. But it's almost like club cricket's turned into kind of semi-professional now, and that's just how it is. And there's that much cricket on the go. I mean, like you say, 60 games there. It's a lot of cricket when there's only 30 games in a season. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's been great chatting, Gary. You are without a shadow, for many people who are listening to this, you're a legend for one reason. But as we said at the very beginning, we don't care about what you did in 2005, to be frank, because anybody who's, we did at the time, but
I care about 2025 now.
Exactly. But what you've done since then in club cricket and national counties cricket it just can't be argued with, can it, Hugh? And that for us, when we talk to people around the country, that's what people give us feedback on, Hugh, isn't it?
It's the pinnacle, for us. It's such a great. It's such a great thing we have in this country, these Premier Leagues. They're wonderful. They provide so much joy for so many people, and to excel like you've done over the last however many years, 20 odd years, is unsurpassed. So, keep it going. I think if you're getting that, you're one of the few people we've spoken to who's not getting that sort of, one more year, please, one more year. You're going to the captain saying, I want another year. So, yeah.
I'll name one of them, Ash Thorpe. He reckons he's hung them up now, but, come on now. Yeah, not a cat now.
Yeah, I'm never going to be like that where I'm retiring and coming back. And I think once I call it a day, I'll call it a day, and that'll be it. But yeah, I mean, if you want to you can set me some tags.
There we go.
And I'll try and.
I think we need to average 50.
I think you've got to get to 20,000 runs. 20,000 runs for Richmond to start with. That's got it. One.
Well, next year.
If you can do that, that'll be really interesting. Yeah, right. And I think it's 17,000 something at the moment. So another couple of years to get to 20,000 at least.
Yeah,
that'll be decent.
I think there's a guy at Richmond who's got more than 20,000. I think you and I have got a better target though. How many wickets? I think
we need some wickets. We need 55 wickets again. I think that'll be that. Depends if Shaft's there.
I think Robert Carr needs to have. We need to have a word with Mr. Robert Carr and say, come on, he's got to get up above that number there, hasn't he? Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think Bob's not back at. Shaft will be having a bad year.
That's the problem.
He'll be having a lousy year if you're getting 50 wickets, to say that.
Yeah,
definitely. Hey, it's been great chatting, Gary. Thanks for your time, mate, and look forward to catching up with you during the season next year. Hopefully, you guys get a good run in the Nationals. We'll see you somewhere up and down the country as well.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thanks,
pleasure, lads. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the Cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So, while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Mima and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta Holiday Market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.